Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 237th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps. We welcome all Marines, both past and present, and friends of the Marine Corps to share in these moments as we pay tribute to the birth of our Corps. From the 1st Marine Division Band, here to play Stars and Stripes Forever. If I could ask Padre Starling to come forth here and give us our invocation.
Bless those Marines serving today in far-off difficult situations. Be with them amid the perils and dangers they face, and suffer not their courage to fail. And bless with faith and perseverance those who bear the scars of war, and those compassionate caregivers who labor to restore and heal them.
Good evening. Once upon a time, as the saying goes, in the mythical village of San Francisco, a dashing male executive meets a sparkling female chief of protocol. Both are single. And with music and laughter and dancing, don't forget dancing, it's not too long before George and Charlotte Shultz embark on an enchanting fairy tale that continues to delight everyone, everywhere. Today, George Shultz is well known in this city by the bay, but for a more personal and way more informal look, let's take a few minutes to travel east several thousand miles, and on a whirlwind time machine travel back several decades to briefly tell you something about the life of this fabled Marine. And to revisit some of the events which shaped his life in a way that affected the lives of every one of you in this room tonight. In fact, I think it can be said affected everyone in the world.
Oh, beautiful for patriot dreams that see beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
On November 1st, 1921, John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps.
With it, we also received from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of Marines in every age. So long as the spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of the Corps.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for honors to Secretary Shultz.
Well, this is very impressive here. But I want to tell you one thing. We Marines know how to have a good time, too. I can remember once during the war, World War II, we came back from an island we'd taken to Kauai for a little R&R and regrouping for the next operation. A few of us got together and we said, hey, this is a big island. If it's a big island, there must be a hospital. If it's a hospital, there must be nurses. Well, let's go find a hospital. Actually, that's where I met my late wife, Obi, who I met her there, and after the war we got married, so sometimes it pays off to go find a hospital. All these experiences you have as a Marine stick with you. And let me tell you a couple that had a big influence on my outlook. I think we all remember boot camp. Yeah. Well, I remember the day, you all remember the day a sergeant gives you your rifle. And he says, take good care of this rifle, it's your best friend. But remember one thing, never point this rifle at anybody unless you're willing to pull the trigger. No empty threats. I told that story to President Reagan when I was in office with him. And we tried to be very careful with what we said because we wanted everybody to know that we meant it. If you say something is unacceptable and then when it happens you accept it with no consequences, well, you don't have any credibility. So be careful and remember what that sergeant said. Never point this rifle at anybody unless you're willing to pull the trigger. Big, big lesson with big implications. Of course, then I remember our little landing on Nanumea. I was up in a little island called Funafuti. I'm a second lieutenant. There's ships everywhere, lots of people. Something's going on. I don't know what, but it's obviously something. Turned out it was the gathering that would later go on to the Tarawa operation. And all of a sudden, somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, Lieutenant, you're going to take your battalion, get on a destroyer, and you're going to go up to a little island called Nanumea, and you're going to disembark in the darkness, land before daylight. The island is lightly held by the Japanese. You take the island, then we come, and it was going to be a medevac island. So we get on the destroyer, we go up, we get off. And as happened all too many cases, the tide is out. Boats can't get anywhere near the island, so we have to disembark from our little boats and wade with our rifles. Right on, and you're going over coral reefs, you know, they got big holes in them, so you have to go very carefully and slowly. By the time we get to the shore, it's daylight. And I see some natives on the shore. And one of them has a white robe on, so I go up to him. I'd learned a little Polynesian, so I said to him, good morning, American Polynesian. I said, Talofa Soli. He looks at me and says, good morning, Lieutenant. We have been expecting you. The Japanese left 2 days ago. It was a hell of a landing. But actually, by almost noontime, they were back. And there was only one structure of any moment on the island. It was a church, and it had big walls. And they came back with their bombers and so on. We're completely defenseless. We have nothing. So somebody says, the church, I yell out, disperse. So we disperse. They put a bomb in the dead center of that church. So I said to my guys afterwards, we learned two things. Number one, never underestimate your adversary. They're pretty good marksmen. Number two, don't do what they expect you to do. So it was a good lesson. But later we're getting ready to defend ourselves more as the people are coming in, the Seabees are coming in, they're trying to make an airfield, and we're trying to set up our anti-aircraft. And the Japanese are coming at us. And we had some real action going on. And you know, you get very close to everybody. And I had one friend, a Sergeant Patton, a terrific guy, wonderful human being and capable. I relied on him. And I'm looking around for him, and I run over to where I thought he might be. I said, "Where the hell is Cap Patton?" "Patton's dead, sir." I remember that moment forever. Because all of a sudden, with all the glamour, whatever, the reality of war sinks in. So I always remember that moment when I'm President Reagan's Secretary of State, and we're confronting the Cold War problems in the Soviet Union and so on. And I'm saying to myself, remember Sergeant Patton, and we're going to commit ourselves, commit our forces. Be careful. Let's be sure we have a mission that's important and worthwhile. Let's be sure we equip our people and give them a chance to win. We're in there to win. We're not in there to lose. It's a basic lesson that I learned from the tragedy of Sergeant Patton. There are all these things that take place in your life as a Marine that have enduring impact on what you do. And I suppose the biggest thing you do as a Marine is you stand up and salute the flag and love your country, love your family, love the United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi.